Hello ladies and gents, welcome to another repair video. Today we're going to be working on this Xbox One motherboard which I purchased for £20 off Facebook. And this Xbox One motherboard has had some rather bad luck in the past. So I saw this ad for a motherboard, spares and repairs, and apparently the board works, but the problem, as you can probably already tell, is there's no HDMI port. And that's not usually a problem, except the fact that half of the traces are also gone. So, as you can see, a lot of the traces are missing, and basically I paid £20 for this with the matching disk drive. So I got a good deal, really, in the sense that, you know, this is pretty much apparently a working console, apart from the fact that there's obviously no case, there's no hard drive, there's no power supply, things like that. But I've got all of those parts available. So I took a chance, I bought it for £20, like I said, and it needs some work doing to the HDMI port. But apart from that, it's apparently fully working and, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. So hopefully that's the case. But we're going to do some HDMI trace repair for this video. So before we actually get started with the video, I do want to apologise for the lack of uploads recently. I know I was being fairly consistent with at least 2 to 3 uploads per week. The past 2 weeks, it's been far too busy to even edit any videos. I've recorded a few, but unfortunately I just haven't had the chance to edit anything whatsoever. And I don't want to hire an editor because, that to me is kind of like cheating. I'd rather do it myself. I'd rather do the YouTube journey on my own. And see how far I can take it. So that includes editing, and if that means not finding the time to edit some for a week or two, then so be it. I have decided today that I'm going to be spending 1 day a week on a Sunday where I'm not working, I'm not doing anything whatsoever apart from doing the editing of the videos. So hopefully I'll have 2 to 3 videos each week ready to upload, where I can just schedule them for upload on set days. And fingers crossed it'll be a bit more consistent, but I do apologise about the lack of uploads. So that being said though, let's get into this repair, shall we? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this thermal paste off because I don't want it all over my hands. It really irritates me, and I might as well just clean it off because it's going to be changed anyway. So while I'm cleaning this off, like I said, I paid £20 for this, and it needs obviously the case and things, which, like I said, I've got all of that already. I can't actually put a price on the cost of this in total because, unfortunately, like I said, I've got the parts already. I haven't got to go out and buy them. But I'm going to say that a power supply around about £10 second hand. So that would take the total up to 30. Case probably £20, so around 50. Hard drive £25, so around £75. And then the front panels another £20, or the front panel and the obviously the Wi-Fi card around another £20. So around about £95 I should be paying all in all for a working Xbox One S console. I bought a Xbox One S all digital a couple of days ago on eBay. Same thing, I bought a motherboard. I paid, I think it was £43, and all it needed was a HDMI port and a retimer. And I already had an all digital case, so I threw it all together. I put a brand new power supply in, and it works absolutely sweet. So I think this is what I'm going to be starting to do. I'm going to be starting to buy just motherboards because it works out a little bit cheaper, especially when I've got the parts to hand. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to be doing in future when I do buy consoles myself, is just buy the motherboard and take a risk. Anyway, what we need to do to this is we obviously need to clean up this entire area, the port and things. It looks like the retimer chip has had some work done in the past. That is not original solder on that chip by the look of that. And I will inspect it under the microscope to make sure it's on there correctly. But obviously, the main concern at the moment is going to be to get the HDMI port sorted out. So what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to set up the camera so you guys can see what I can see, and then we'll get to actually fixing this thing. Right, okay, so the camera's set up in a position where whatever I see in the microscope you should also be able to see. But I think I'm probably going to move it again because I've just realised I haven't cleaned out these holes yet, and it looks to me like someone's actually tried to chop this, to be honest, which is always pretty annoying. But you know, I don't understand why people do that. I don't understand why someone's tried to cut the port away when they clearly have a soldering iron, because they've tried to do an attempt at cleaning it up. I don't know. It's one of them things. But yeah, I've got to clean this up. I'm going to try and clean it up from this side of the board, save having to move the camera again. And I'll try and do it with just hot air. So I'm going to let the heat gun and the soldering iron warm up, and then we'll get to cleaning the area up. Right, so while I'm waiting for the soldering iron to heat up, I'm going to just preheat the board in the general area. So I'm just going to keep moving backwards and forwards with the heat gun. And I'll fast forward through this bit, but I just want to get it so it's at a point where the board's fairly hot in this area, because that's going to make it a lot easier to remove this, you know, these stray pieces of metal here and clean out these holes. Right, so I'm going to try and remove this port using just the heat gun, or rather the remainder of the port, using just the heat gun. I'm not sure if it's going to be possible, but I'll give it a try. So bear in mind as well that this is not a repair shop screw up, what I usually see. I do see a lot of repair shop screw ups. This is just someone trying to fix their own stuff, and obviously he's made a mess of it, and then he's just decided to sell it as faulty. Which is fine, you know. If people want to screw up their own stuff, that's fine, as long as it's not a customer's. And I'm more than happy to buy it when it's screwed up, because it's a lot cheaper. I don't think I'm going to be able to remove this without adding at least a little bit of leaded solder first. So let's just add some leaded solder to this area. And I'll use the heat gun just to assist with the heat soak. There we go. Awesome. So that's that. Believe it or not, that's probably one of the most difficult parts about this job. I'm kind of used to doing trace repair now. Right, so this should just soak up with the solder wick. Maybe not. Might need to flip the board around. Yep, let's flip the board, and let's see if we can get it from this side. So, let's do the same again. Let's use the wick. Let's try the wick first, and then if not, we'll use the solder sucker. Nope. Let's try using the heat gun to help us. No, I'll use the solder sucker, it's fine. Right, it's a little bit awkward with the microscope in the way. That does not want to come out. Right, I'm going to mix it with some fresh leaded to make sure that we've got a nice even mix there. Right, so I've just had to turn the fan off that's above my head because I believe it's probably affecting the temperature. There we go, that's much better. Got ya. So I think the fan above my head was probably affecting the temperature, to be honest with you. Doesn't help when you're working on a big ground plane. One more to go. There we go. Excellent. Right, so I think the fan above my head was affecting the temperature for sure. It's basically been 32 degrees all day today, and I've been absolutely baking in the workshop, which, you know, I just couldn't cope anymore, and I just had to mount my what is usually my extraction fan, you know, just to get the general fumes out of the air. So I had to mount that basically where the, you know, just above my head, and just reverse the fan. So yeah, it's pretty cold above my head at the minute, or rather it was till I turned it off. Right, okay, so now that we've got those ground holes cleared out, we can start taking a look at this actual port. So from what I can see, we've got, let me just get a pair of tweezers and I'll count them. So we've got pin number 1 missing, which goes to a EMI filter. Pin number 2, 3, 4 and 5 are all there. 6 is missing, which is an EMI filter. 7 is missing, which is an EMI filter. 8 is there. 9 is missing, which is an EMI filter. 10 is missing, which is an EMI filter. 11's there. 12 is missing, EMI filter. 13 is missing, that goes to this trace here. 14 is there, but it's a non-connected pad anyway. 15 is missing, which goes down to here. 16 is missing. No, hang on. So 15 is there, 15 is missing, 16 is there, 17 is there, 18 is there, and 19 is partially missing, but that goes to this component here. So judging by the condition, I'd say it's going to be fairly straightforward to run jumper wires, or generally it's going to be fairly straightforward. I hope it's going to be fairly straightforward. Number 19, I can just run a very tiny jumper wire. 17 and 16, I need to get rid of this solder bridge, so let's get some wick and the soldering iron. So let's just wick away this solder here. There we go, beautiful. Right, 17 is a ground pad anyway. That looks like it's been partially pulled up. Let me have a look at that. It should be safe enough to drop a port on. Oh, I don't know actually. It has been partially pulled up here at the top. Okay. Alright, so let's just clear the rest of these pads away. There we go. And let's get rid of this little bit of excess solder off here. Excellent. Good. Right, so that's ready to drop a port on top now, by the looks of it. what I plan to do is I plan to place the HDMI port down onto its final position. I'm not going to solder the bottom legs yet, you know, the ground points. I'm not going to solder those yet because I want to get it into the right position. So this is a brand new HDMI port. I'm going to need to put something underneath the board, I think, just to yeah, those wire cutters will do. So I'll place that there like that. The reason I need to put something under the board is purely because I need to be able to push the connector through and not have it pushed back through while I'm soldering the wires or soldering the initial legs. So I need to push down on the connector and make sure that it's locked into place. I think that's flush to the board. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder the legs that I can see. Now, I did say that number 19 was partially missing, but it looks like we've just about got enough to make that connection. So that's going to be one less jumper that we need to run, because we've just about got enough of that pad left, and that is the right side of the pad. So the trace goes down to here, to this little resistor here, R8B3, and it's on the right side of it where the tracer stops ripping. So that's good news. That means that's one less that we have to solder. So what I'm going to do first of all is, and I apologise if I knock the camera, it is really awkward. I do need to get myself a microscope camera. It's just at the moment I've just brought a new soldering iron, new heat gun, new fume extractor, and you know it's not cheap. I've spent near enough £400, which is around about $450 on new tools on Lewis Rossman's recommendation. So yeah, I was going to originally go for a quick 861DW for a heat gun, you know, for a hot air station, and then you know he recommended another one, and I'm not going to say which one, but he recommended another one, and I will do a review on it myself. I've always wanted to get into reviewing products, so I might do an unboxing on the hot air station when it comes. I'm not going to say which one it is. It's not sponsored or anything like that, but I might do a video anyway, just, you know, to get some extra content out there and maybe help some people to determine whether to buy it or not. Because it's not very expensive and apparently it's better than the Quick. So yeah, we'll see. We will see. Same with the soldering iron as well. It's apparently, the soldering iron, according to Lewis Rossman, is apparently better than the Hakko. And I was going to go for the Hakko FX951. I think it's the FX951. So I was going to go for the Hakko, and then I saw a recommendation and I decided to go against my initial wishes, because I've always had my heart on the Hakko since I started doing this kind of work, and I've also always had my heart on the Quick 861DW hot air station. So it's going to be interesting to see what they perform like. You know, if I'm not happy, I'll send them back. Right, so let's get some of these soldered, shall we? So I'm going to start with number 19. I'm going to solder these by hand. I'm not pre-tinning the legs. And once I've soldered these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder the bottom legs, just to keep it secure so I can actually run those jumpers and actually get those jumpers in place without, you know, keep knocking them off and things. You know, the one thing I do enjoy doing HDMI port wise, I mean, I don't really enjoy HDMI ports, but one thing I do find relaxing is trace repair. I don't know why, it's just one of the, I just can't resist it. You know, if someone says to me I've ripped 10 traces, I'm like, yep, send it down, I'll have a look. I'll give it a go. And I just can't help it. Right, okay, so those traces, the pads over there should be soldered. I'm going to clean up and then we can take a look and see, make sure that they're all connected. And now I've got a stretch with my lavalier mic connected to my arms because I've got a t-shirt on and nowhere else to put them. So now I've got to stretch and be really, really awkward to get my isopropyl alcohol. There we go. So apologies if there was a bit of background noise there. Okay. So we'll just clean this up and have a look at the traces that we have got. See, make sure that they are all connected. And I actually want to keep this one myself because I've got a PS4 which needs trace repair, which I purchased, which I'll do a video on. And I've also got this which needs trace repair. And the thing is, you know, if I've sat here for, you know, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. I mean, I did a PS4 HDMI port in 4 minutes earlier. Granted, the board was already out. But it took me 4 minutes to do a HDMI port. So, you know, it doesn't take me long at all if I'm not doing a video. So, I mean, yeah, when I'm sitting here for, you know, an hour, 40 minutes, an hour doing trace repair, you know, it grieves me to sell it afterwards. You know, and plus people don't want to buy trace repair motherboards. They just don't. So, yeah, I'm going to keep this one myself, I think. Right, so number 19 was the one with the partial trace. That seems to be in place. 18 seems to be in place. And 17 is that ground pad which was weak. But that is connected by the look of it. I will check for continuity. 16 is connected. 15 is missing. 14 is connected even though it's not actually going anywhere on the board. 13 and 12 are missing. 11 is connected. Where was I? Yeah, there we are. So 13 and 12 are missing. 11's connected, 10's missing, 9's missing, 8's connected, 7 and 6 missing, and then 5's connected, 4's connected, 3's connected, 2's connected, and 1's missing. Okay, good. Right, so the one thing I do need to check is for continuity on pin number 19. So now is as good a time as ever to use my multimeter with the new test leads. I'm going to see just how well these perform because they only cost £10 and they feel really, really good quality compared to what I'm used to. I'm used to using the standard ones that come with the multimeter, which are really thick and really, really hard to use. Right, so pin number 19 should go to R8B3, which is this resistor here. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's so much easier. We're not shorted to the pin next to it. Right, let's have a look for shorts on these, see what these are like. Yep. Right, 17 is weak. That is connected to ground. Excellent. Oh, these are going to take some getting used to. They are nice to use, but they're going to take some getting used to. I'm used to using the thick ones. So I'm just checking for shorts against each pin. Just make sure that we don't have any shorts on the board or any shorts on the underneath the port where we can't see. And that seems okay. Excellent. Right, so I suppose while we're here, what we could do is we could test these EMI filters for shorts and just make sure that there's no shorts on the EMI filters and make sure that they do have continuity from the top to the bottom. Just to make sure that the EMI filters are good, and plus I just want to use these multimeter leads. So let's check those. So what I do when I check the EMI filters is we're going to continuity mode, and I actually like to go from the top. Now we do have a bit of exposed trace here for this one, but I like to go from the top because it's easier. And the reason for that is because usually my multimeter leads are thicker, so I'll do half I'll do this one from the top, and then I'll do this one from the, from one side of the filter to the other. So basically, all an EMI filter is just a coil of wire, and it just filters out noise on the HDMI circuit or whatever it's powering. Filters out ripples and noise, and smooths out the signal when it goes out to the TV. So we need continuity from the top to the bottom, because like I said, it's a coil of wire. But we don't want continuity from one pin to the next pin, because that means that we've got some sort of crossed line. And if there's a crossed line, it can be one of two things. It can either be the EMI filter itself, where they've become bridged, the solder points underneath have become bridged, or it could be down to the chip. And the chip, it looks like it's been changed. It looks like we've got leaded solder on here because the joints are nice and shiny. So it looks like this has been changed. So that's the reason I want to check these EMI filters and just make sure. So let's do these from here. So I do have a bit of exposed trace here. And I'm getting nothing. Okay, mate. Ah, there we go. Okay. And it's not shorted to ground. So number 2 is pin number 3 on the port. Good. Number 3 is a ground. Just like so. As you can see, I'm touching ground on the port itself. Number 4 is going to this pin here. Yeah. And number 5 is going to this pin here, but that's missing. But again, we do have a bit of the exposed trace here. There we go. Excellent. Okay, so all of those have continuity, but the question is, do we have continuity between one and the other where it shouldn't be? No continuity there, and no continuity to ground, no continuity to that one, and no continuity to that one as well. Awesome. So let's check the next one across. Nothing. Okay. Excellent. So those are all good. So let's try these ones from the top to the bottom. Good. Good. This one, it doesn't matter, it's just a ground. Good. Good. And good. Okay, so let's check from one to the next. Good. 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 Excellent. So those all appear to be checking out fine. So it looks like the HDMI encoder might have been put on correctly, and then they've just got a little bit sloppy with the port, and made a mistake. It happens. We've all done it, and if you haven't done it, you'll probably do it eventually. So that's that. Right. Okay. So I can move my multimeter out of the way for now. So I'm going to spin the board round, because I need to do the bottom legs, because I need to secure this port in place. So I'm going to take the soldering iron, and I'm just going to apply some solder to each of these 4 legs. Just fill up those holes. And I can clean them up with some flux later and make them nice and smooth. It's not such a big deal. So I don't know if you've noticed, but my soldering iron, the one I'm using now, is fairly new. I brought this is just a spare soldering iron I had, and I brought it a couple of months ago, and then I ended up repairing my old one before it came, and my old one broke again yesterday, and I couldn't find this, and I sat there and soldered a new element in it with just a heat gun by hand. And then today I found this one, which is pretty annoying, but I've just swapped over to this one and just got rid of the other one. I've got another soldering iron coming anyway, so it's not such a big deal. Right, okay, so those are soldered. The joints actually look fairly okay, but I'm going to smooth them out anyway, so I'm going to add a little bit of flux. They do look nice and shiny, but I'd rather add some flux just to make sure that we don't get any cold joints and to make sure that they don't crack. Beautiful. Excellent. So I've just got an OCD kicking in now because they're a little bit uneven in size. There we go. Don't they look lovely? Okay, so let's clean this up. And now is going to come the very long process of repairing those HDMI traces. Oh, those joints look beautiful. I might be a little bit biased, but those joints look beautiful. Excellent. So we'll just clean up. Awesome. So just take a moment there to admire those solder joints, because that port is now going absolutely nowhere. We do have a little stray ball here and a little stray ball there. Let's get rid of them. There's actually a few, to be honest. I had a little accident with some solder balls yesterday while I was cleaning my desk. I was trying to clean my desk and I knocked 250,000 solder balls on it. Which is not fun, because I'm dreading picking them up. I haven't picked them up yet. They're all underneath my microscope and I'm just not looking forward to it because this microscope is heavy. 16 kilos and I've got to lift it up and move it out of the way. But yeah, I'll tackle that bridge another time when I actually get some time, maybe. Right, okay, so what we need to do now is we need to run jumpers to all of these missing traces. So because I'm left-handed, what I tend to do is start from the right-hand side and then work my way across. So I'm going to take some jumper wire. Right, okay, so now we've got the meticulous task of actually doing the jumper wires. So what we need to do is obviously restore all of the connections for this circuit. And I'm going to start off, like I said, with the right hand side. So as you know, we've already managed to resolder number 19 without running a jumper. 18's there, 17's there, and 16 is there. So it's going to start with number 15. And looking at the trace and following the trace across, it comes down here, it goes across there, and it goes to this resistor here, R8B9. So I'm going to run it from number 16 and I'm going to run it straight to the resistor. So what we need to do first is we need to tin one part of the actual wire. So what I like to do when I'm doing trace repair is just pop a little bit of flux just somewhere on the board. So, you know, just close to where I'm working, where I can see it in the microscope. And the reason for that is because it's going to allow me to tin the wire a lot easier. So what I'll do is just basically soak the wire in flux and then just scrape away. And I'll scrape away nice and gently until we expose the inner core. So all we're doing is literally just scraping away the enamel, because this is enamel wire, which means it's insulated, and being insulated, it means that we can technically cross wires if we want to, and basically they're not going to short out against each other because it's insulated all the way across wherever we've got enamel. And this jumper wire that I'll use actually comes straight from a motor, and I'll take it from a motor in a microwave. So the little fan that you get in the side of a microwave, I'll basically take it from there, because my brother-in-law is a scrapman, or rather two of my brother-in-laws are scrapmen, and it's an unlimited supply. So yeah, I'll never run out of jumper wire, which is great. Right, so this might get a little bit tricky. I'm going to try and do it on an angle just so as I can keep the camera in view. But it might get a little bit tricky, both for me and for you to see. So, like I said, we're going to start with number 16, I think. Is it number 16? No, it's number 15, sorry. So we're going to start with number 15. Now I've tinned the wire, I can just come along with the iron and just dab, and you'll see that's made a really nice strong connection there. And then all I'm going to do is, it's going to be a lot of lifting the iron up, putting it back down basically, but all I'm going to do is just press down with the tweezers, pop this into place, and I'm going to try and follow the path as best as I can. And I want it as flush to the board as I possibly can as well. But I'm going to try and route it in the same distance, just so we don't get any signal interference. Or they're about the same distance anyway. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Or actually, let's come in a curve just to keep it nice and even. So we're going to follow this down, and it comes to this resistor here. So let's curve it there, and then I'm going to grip it with the tweezers, and I apologise you can't actually see. I'm going to grip it with the tweezers, and by holding it with the tweezers, it's going to allow me to break the wire without pulling it off the port. There we go. So that's broken off. So now that's broken off, what I can do is I can just come in with the soldering iron again. And it's a little bit awkward because I'm left-handed and I'm using my right hand with the iron. And that's actually breaking off there. So let's get rid of that. I'm going to swap hands. I've got to use my left hand. I can't do it with my right hand. I pretty much can't do anything with my right hand, to be honest. So I'm going to try and hold it gently. And just tin the very edge of the wire. We don't need much exposed at all. So we're going to bring it down into position. And that's it. So that one is connected. So now I'm just going to straighten that wire out as best I can. And that's essentially what I'm going to do to every single one of them. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit because my hands are a little bit too big for the camera. So I'm going to zoom out just a bit. And this is essentially what I'm going to do. So as you can see, I'm zoomed in there. Number 15 is running to the resistor where the trace originally goes. And basically we need to do that for all of these missing traces. So 16, 17, 18 and 19 are all there. So 15 is missing. So we've restored that one now. And we should have continuity between the pin itself and this resistor. So to check that, we can find another excuse to use these new test leads. With the multimeter in continuity mode, we're going to pop one probe on the end of the resistor and the other probe on the actual pin. There we go, and you see we've got continuity there. Excellent. So that means that is connected and that trace is now restored. So like I said, that's what we're going to do with every single one of them, and then basically we can get to testing it and see if we've actually made a good purchase or not. So I'll zoom out a little bit. There we go. So hopefully my hand isn't going to get in the way too much now, and hopefully you can see. Fingers crossed. And let's just get to it, shall we? So I'm going to carry on doing these. So we'll take some more jumper wire, and we're going to need number 13 next. So number 13 comes down here, and I think it goes to this one here. I'm going to have to clean up a little bit just so I can see where it goes to. So there's a lot of cleaning involved in this as well, just to see and follow traces. Sorry, my bad. Number 13 goes to this via here. So I'm going to take an old pair of tweezers. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scrape away at the via. And just basically expose the copper on the end of the trace. So by exposing the copper on the end of the trace, it's going to allow me to create a new pad. And that's going to allow me to solder the jumper wire directly to the via just before it goes through to the other side of the board. So let's tin this jumper wire now. Still got a bit of flux here where I haven't cleaned up. So we can just expose this inner wire. Just like so. And then what I'm going to do before I actually get to solder that wire on, I'm going to tin the actual pad. So I'm going to create a new pad by tinning the via that we've just scratched away at. So I'll add a bit of flux to that. Just like so. And then I'm going to pre-apply some solder onto the end of the tip. Excellent, there we go. So that pad there is tinned, and we're ready to solder this wire onto the port. So number 13. There we go. So now again we're going to try and keep this around the same distance. Just around about there. We're going to pinch with the tweezers and then just break it away. So again, we're going to tin the other end of this. So I'm going to try and come in on an angle with the tweezers. Or actually, we can do that from, we can tin it this side actually. We don't need to risk exposing any more enamel on that side of the wire, on this one here. Just expose that wire. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to tuck it underneath the other wire. I'm going to lift that wire up, and this is what I love about this microwave wire. It basically, it's really good at shaping. So we can shape it in pretty much any way we want, and that's what I like about it. So as you see there, I just lifted that up, took the wire underneath, and then brought it back, and it stayed in shape. And I've messed that up a little bit. There we go. There we go. Okay, so that should be connected. We don't need to be checking continuity on every single one. As long as we can see that it's soldered, we should have continuity. So I'm going to clean up. And what I like to do is I like to clean up after every one, just so I can see and make sure that they're actually connected. And as you can see as well, I'm scraping over these jumper wires with the cotton swab, and they're not pulling off, which means they're on there nice and strong. So now I'm going to just bring this into the correct shape, keep it nice and neat. And that one's come off that side, so I'm going to have to resolder that on. It's a little bit awkward with the camera in the way as well. There we go. Right, so that's in position now. So the reason I shape it is to keep those pins in position. Okay, so now we're ready to do number 12. So all of these missing traces now, you know, we've got 12, 10, 9, 7, and so on and so forth. So all of these missing traces here are going to the EMI filters. So these are going to be a little bit easy because we haven't got to tin any more pads. All we've got to do is tin the jumper wire once, and then we can run the jumper wire to the actual EMI filter itself, and it can be in a straight line. We don't need to curve it, and it's going to be fantastic. Okay, so let's add a bit more flux, like I said, just in the general area where we're working, just so we can tin this wire. Just melt that. position. And we have to be gentle here that we don't bridge between another connection or knock another wire off. There we go. Okay, so let's just come down here. And we want to make sure as well that when we come into these EMI filters, we need to make sure that we're at the top of the filter, not the bottom, because otherwise the filter may as well not be there. So we make sure we're at the top and not the bottom, and that's going to keep the filter in the circuit rather than just bridging directly across it. We never want to bridge. I'm going to add some flux to these, because I'm pretty sure they use low melt solder or some sort of a weaker solder on the EMI filters themselves. It seems a lot softer than normal solder. Okay, so that's tinned. Let's just get that in position. And it might be a little bit awkward. I might have to remove the EMI filter, solder it in place, and then drop the EMI filters back on afterwards. I will try and do it without taking the filters off. I don't like to take them off. Oh, well, that one's gone on, I think. Just snap away that excess there. There we go. Right, so this one I'm going to check for continuity from the pin itself to the bottom of the filter. Just to make sure that we've got continuity from the pin all the way across. And we do. Do we have continuity to this one here? We don't. Good. That means it's not bridged, and that the connection itself is fine. Excellent. So let's do the same again for the next missing pin, which is going to go to the next filter across. There we go. Very nice indeed. Let's break that away. There we go. So now we need to tin this end. And I think what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to check continuity at the end for these. I do need to clean up though before I can solder this one, because I can't actually see it because there's flux burnt everywhere. When flux starts to burn, it starts to go rock hard and you basically can't see what's underneath it. And just going to get rid of some more of this with the tweezers. There we go. I can see enough now to be able to get that soldered. Whoops. Right. A little bit awkward. Okay, so let's actually just check for continuity on that one quickly. Just want to make sure. Good. Excellent. All going accordingly so far. I'll just clean that up there. Let's make sure that we don't have any continuity between these two. Which we don't. Excellent. And how about ground? No. Okay, good. That's brilliant. That's fantastic. Okay, so next jumper. And I believe we're probably halfway through now. No, one more and we're halfway through. We've got 6 left to do. Okay, so a bit more flux. So I'll go to halfway, so I'll do this one and then I'll take a quick break, go and get myself a drink. It is a very lengthy process, this is, and you're obviously going to see the shortened down version. So I'm going to go and get a break in a minute. There we go. So we just need to tin this wire. Okay. I may as well finish this one filter, I suppose, before I go and take a break. And then we'll have literally 4 more jumper wires before we're done. So, not going bad so far. It's not taking too long. And compared to a PS4, these are a lot easier to do, because you can just see a lot more traces. I'm actually going to try and tin this before I trim it, just so I can hold the wire. I've never actually done this much trace repair on an Xbox One S, to be honest. Yeah, that could work. That could definitely work doing it that way. But let's give that a trim. And let's check for continuity there. Excellent. So we've got no bridges, we've got no shorts to ground, apart from that middle one because it's meant to be. And they're all connected. Right, so let's give this a quick clean. and then I'm going to take a short 5-minute break. There we go. Right, so all of those are connected. All we've got left to do now is these 4 EMI filters. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's going to correspond to 1, 1, 2. Oh, hold on. Oh, have we only got 2? I think we might only have 2. So that one's definitely not connected. That one's a ground. I think that one's connected. That one's connected. That one's connected, and that one's not. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to finish them. I thought we had 4 left to do. We've got 2. I might as well finish them, and then I'll take a break once I've finished. Oh, that's awesome. I thought we had twice as many to do. That's great news. Okay, let's get these last 2 done then, shall we? So when I thought we was halfway through, it was actually 2/3 through. Alright, so we've got 1 here. I will double check, make sure. Right, okay. So this one is going to the end filter. That's that one there. I'm going to try it the way I just tried it on the last one. I'm going to try and just tin it and solder it straight on, meaning I can hold the wire in place without getting my hand in the way. So like I said, usually when I'm doing this, I'm just on my own, just doing my thing, and I don't generally have to worry about where my hands are. So to do it on camera is a whole different kettle of fish. You know, 1 or 2 is not bad, but when you're doing like 6, 7, 8, however many we've got here to do, when you're doing this many, it's a bit different. I think the most I've ever done was 18. I did 18 on a PS4. That's all but 1 trace. Literally all but 1 trace. I think that one was a ground. So I can't remember, but I think it was 18. It was either 17 or 18 is the most I've done. And that was not an easy task, because the PS4 is a very difficult board to run jumpers for. In respect of, you know, trace repair on a HDMI port. Right, so let's check for continuity on that one. We may as well check them as we go. We've only got 1 left to do after this. Good. Okay, so let's check for continuity. I mean, this one here is a ground. So let's check for continuity there. Yep. And this one here. Yeah. This one's a ground. Yeah. And then now we've just got the M1. So just pin number 1, which is going to go to this pin here, which obviously there's no continuity at the minute. So just pin number 1 left to do, and then we can call this done, hopefully. Providing there's no other issues with the console. But apparently we've got the original disk drive that came with it. I mean, I can't see any reason why the guy would lie. He obviously knows I'm buying a faulty console, and he knows I'm going to be capable of fixing it. You know, it's only trace damage. It's not like it's an old power or a blue screen of death on the PS4, where there's a hit and miss chance. You know, trace damage is not always a success, but most of the time it's a success. I think I've only ever had one where I couldn't get it to work. I think that was the first one I ever did. There we go. That should be connected. And for the final time, let's check for continuity from this end filter. Let's wait for that beeping to stop. It means my multimeter is about to turn off. Awesome. No bridge. No bridge. No bridge. Whoops. No bridge. No bridge. No bridge. No bridge. No bridge. Excellent. Right, so that appears to be done. Let's clean up. Hopefully for the last time. And I could put some UV mask on here, but you know, once this is inside the console, it's not going to move anyway, so what's the point? I will put some Kapton tape over it, just in case, you know, I do open this up and forget in the future. But this is going to be my own console. I'm going to keep this for myself. I'm not going to sell it, so I'm not going to forget that I've done trace repair on this. I'm just going to clean up as best as I can. And this is not pretty. By any stretch of the imagination, this is not going to be pretty. But if it's functional, it doesn't have to win any awards, does it? Okay, let's clean up once more. Pop a bit more isopropyl alcohol there. Just get rid of as much flux as we possibly can without risking pulling these traces. And let's dry up. And you'll notice that no matter how many times I've run across these with the cotton swabs, they haven't moved. They are very secure. Right, so let's double check continuity on all of these. So this one to this here, there we go. And just to show you that these wires can cross, you know, that's the pin for this one. I'll show you to here actually. So these wires obviously can touch, and they're not going to short out. Right, okay, so apologies again for the jump cut there. My phone rang just before I was about to take a break, so I thought it was as good a time as ever to take one. So let's just give these one final continuity test before we actually go ahead and connect up a power supply and things to this. So I'm just going to check these pins here. So these first four are connected. This one should have continuity here, and that it does. This one's connected. This one should have continuity here. It does. This one should go to this filter. Yeah. And my multimeter just turned off. There we go. Okay, so let's check the filters. So this one to this pin. Yeah. This one to this pin. Yeah. This one goes to here. This one to there. Yeah. That's a little bit close to the ground pin for my liking. So I'm going to try and shape it a little bit. There we go. That's why I love this jumper wire. Honestly, ladies and gents, if you need jumper wire, take it from a microwave because it's perfect. That one to there. Connected, 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 and the first one. Excellent. Fantastic. So every single one of those is connected. And if we zoom in there, you'll see my beautiful work. If we just take a moment to admire how neat that looks. That looks absolutely fantastic, if I do say so myself. You should always admire your own work and appreciate your own work, because if you don't appreciate it, who will? Because if you're doing it for a customer, the customer's never going to see it, or at least they shouldn't. So if you're not going to appreciate it, then who is there to appreciate it? That's my opinion, at least. But yeah, let's get this tested, shall we? So I'm going to put a bit of caption tape over this anyway, just to protect it a little bit. I could put some UV mask on it, but I think it's kind of pointless, because if I ever need to remove the port for any reason, you know, I've got to sit there and pull that UV mask up. Whereas if I just put some Kapton tape there, you know, it's a lot easier to remove, and I can just remove the wires. You know, lift the Kapton tape up, remove the wires, and just resolder them back there, and I haven't got to resolder them back to the other side. So that's why I'd rather use Kapton tape than UV mask on my own device, because like I said, if I've got to change this HDMI port in the future, then you know it's going to be accessible. So I'm going to take some Kapton tape, which is just basically heat-proof tape, but it works wonders for covering jumper wires as well. Don't need much, just about 2 inches. Not even 2 inches really. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically, if I zoom out, basically cover this entire area, just like so. And that is going to protect them wires from being pulled up, even though no one is realistically going to be going inside this console. If anyone goes inside, it'll be me, and I know they're there. So now that tape's there, I can just position these a little bit better to make sure that they're not shorting. And then I'm going to add a tiny bit more Kapton tape just in front of the port. So I'm going to cover the camera here. I apologise for that. Well, that went pretty much in the same position that the last one did. Excellent. There we go. That is nicely protected. Like I said, that is not going anywhere. Those wires are not going anywhere. And even when we pop the power supply over the top, it's not going to pull it up. So we're ready for testing. Yeah, let's find ourselves some parts and let's get this tested, shall we? Alright, so let's start plugging things in. So I've got my disk drive, and I'm going to need to find something to protect that, to make sure it doesn't short out, because I don't want to be shorting out the motherboard with the bottom of the disk drive. I'll find myself a proper holder for it when we reassemble it inside a case. I've got myself a hard drive. This has already been prepared for an Xbox. So there's a hard drive. And I've got myself a hard drive tray. So I did manage to find a tray. So let's just pop that in position and clip that in. And a power supply. Oh, I forgot the heatsink. Here's one. Okay, so I've got a heatsink. Like I said, I've got parts on hand for all of the consoles. You know, the PS4, PS4 Slim, PS4 Pro, Xbox One, One S, and One X. So it's always handy to have these parts, especially when I come across motherboards. I'm going to clean this old thermal paste off. It's a little bit sticky. This one must have been here for a while. Let's just clean that up. There we go. Okay, so let's add some fresh thermal paste. Let's go for the good stuff. There we go. A little bit of seepage there. It's a little bit too much thermal paste now. But never mind. We can sort that out. So the reason there's too much there is because I don't really like it to overspill. It doesn't hurt the console, but I just don't like there to be too much there. So spread it out, clear it up. There we go. It's a little bit wasteful, but you really don't need a lot of thermal paste at all to do the job. And I'm going to need a X clamp as well. Awesome. And I just realised as well that the second half of my lavalier mic wasn't connected. So I apologise if the audio was a little bit weird there for a minute. Right, so let's just get rid of these for a minute so we can connect up the heatsink and fan. Like I said, I will find a proper tray for that disk drive, obviously when we reassemble it. But for now, it's fine. Or rather, when we assemble it, not reassemble it. I'm not even sure if I've got enough screws to make a console, to be honest. I know I've got enough of the green screws, but I'm not sure if I've got enough of the silver torque screws and black screws. Not a clue. I'm sure I'll find out. I mean, if not, it's not a big deal. There we go. I've got a heatsink and fan. Now let's connect up the power supply next. So again, this is one of my own power supplies. All that I purchased for £20 was the motherboard and the disk drive, which is still a bargain when you think about it, because a disk drive costs nearly £20. I think a disk drive is around about £15 to buy, so it's a bargain. That HDMI chip is around about £6 to buy, so I got my money's worth. This CAD is broken, but I'll find another one. It will do for testing. That's all we need it for, is testing. And the disk drive, I'm just gonna pop on top of here for now, just to make sure it doesn't short out on the board. And I did just realise you can't see that, but I might as well finish connecting them up now. There we go. So as you can see there, we have a complete console. So let's get this tested, shall we? So I'm going to take the HDMI straight from the monitor. And I'm going to have to move the board a little bit forward, just to make sure that I don't put any strain on the cable. It is a brand new cable. So I'm going to move a couple of things out of the way. Let's pop that HDMI in. And before we go any further, I also need a front panel and a Wi-Fi card. So front panel, there we go. It's a little bit awkward doing it this way, but we only want to test. We don't want to be reassembling it if it doesn't work. So it's always best to do it out of the case. So basically what I plan to do is just install the software, and then if it works we can obviously go ahead and assemble this inside the case. Okay, so finally let's take a power lead, plug that in, and I heard a little fizz, which means my power supply works. We've got the half fan spin on the console, and unfortunately that's the only way that I can show this screen, because my HDMI capture card after just a week has packed up. So that's had to go back, or rather it's going back. So let's turn it on. Right, so it turns on. Do we get a signal on the screen? Yeah, oh. Have we got a signal? It picked something up. Yes! It's working. Oh wow, that's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. I'm over the moon at that. First time we got it working. No errors, no problems, straight working, straight on the screen. Oh, that's fantastic. Right, I'm gonna have to copy OSU 1 over to a USB. So I'll pause the video, I'll copy it over, and then I'll resume the video. Right, okay, so I've got the OSU 1 on a USB now. So I'm going to use a HDMI switcher this time, to save having to keep on unplugging this lead. I keep breaking HDMI cables and it gets really annoying. So let's turn it on. It should just flick over automatically from the computer. Now that I know that the display works, I've got no other point of failure. I know that it's going to work, and if it doesn't work, then I know it's going to be something to do with the HDMI switcher. Now the HDMI switcher, for some reason lately, is only displaying in 480p, but that's fine. You know, I can test in 1080p once I've assembled it inside the case and stuff. You know, when the port's going to be secure in the case and things like that. So I'm just going to pop the USB port in, or the USB cable, the USB dongle, and then I'm going to take my test controller. And let me know what you think to my controller. I think it's pretty cool. Right, okay, so let's run an offline system update. Let's update this console and install the software. I'll skip through this bit and be back in 5 minutes basically. Right, so as you can see here, I'm just running through the setup, the initial setup. So I'm going to connect to Wi-Fi, make sure that all the internet and everything works and that we're not console banned. I'm going to sign into my account and then we'll go ahead and just double check everything. Okay, so we're connected to the internet fine. It's going to ask for a 25 meg update, which again, is fine. There we go. So that's going to download. Going a little bit slow tonight for some reason. Usually a lot quicker than that. Okay, update is done. So that's changed my language to the correct language pack. Should be loading back up now. Any minute. I might have to switch to the normal HDMI because I've just set it to 1080p and my HDMI switch is playing up. So I might have to switch it to the normal HDMI now. Yeah, let's try that because it's not showing anything on the screen. So let's just flick over to... Oh, damn it. I just unplugged it at the same time. Never mind. Right. Might have to run through that setup again. And... why are we not getting a display now? Okay, that's a little bit strange. Now it's rebooted, we're not getting a display. Oh, okay. That's my monitor playing up then, I guess. I hope it's my monitor playing up. Right, I'm going to sign into my account. For some reason, we're still in 480p as well, which is a bit strange because it was working in 1080p when it was on safe mode. So unless it's switched back because of the HDMI switcher, I'm not sure. When we get into the actual settings, I'll change it and see if it goes into 1080p. And then when I've assembled it in a case, I'll change it. I'll double check and make sure it stays in 1080p then. Right, so let's just finish running through this setup then. I should really buy a new HDMI switcher, I guess. Mind you, I've actually got a new HDMI capture on the way, so this time I'm not going to keep unplugging it and plugging it in. So I'm not sure if that's what's caused it to break. But either way though, it shouldn't have broken in like less than a week. Internet's on a very slow path today. Really slow. I've got 1000 megabit and it's taking this long. No, I don't know. Internet. It's taking an awful long time. The hard drive could be bad, I don't know. Potentially the hard drive could be bad. Or it could just be that the internet's on a slow go. I don't know. Don't know what's going on. Let's go for energy saving. Right, so let's try and change the display. Yeah, this hard drive might be bad. That's taking a while to load up the dashboard. A little bit weird. That's more like it. That's better. There we go. That's 1080p now. Okay. Awesome. Right, okay, so let's turn it off. Well, actually, let's test the disc first before we turn it off. So I have here Call of Duty World War II. Yep, okay. Let's see if it loads up a disc. I hope it loads up a disc. It's taking a while. Oh, the disk drive just started spinning. There we go. Okay, so the disk drive is working. It might have a bad hard drive. I don't know. But as far as I know, this hard drive is good. Which is a bit weird, but that's working. Brilliant. I'm happy. Right, so I'm going to shut this down. And the good news is, I think I have enough screws to actually assemble a console. So while it was updating, I organised a few screws, just the ones that I'm going to need. And the even better news is that I managed to find out my blue chassis. So my blue chassis, it's my original Xbox One, the first Xbox One I ever owned, and that's that thing there. And if I just show you the top, so you will have to excuse the state of this. It's been sat in here for 6 months. It's very, very dusty and dirty. But this is my limited edition blue case. So my original console developed an APU short a couple of months ago, but obviously I didn't throw the case. And I also have the base to it, and I think it's pretty fitting because I've got the case. So I've got a blue case and a blue controller, and you'll notice that the buttons on this are actually off this console. So they're off the original controller to this console. Now at the minute I've just got a random red back. I'm waiting for a back to come. But yeah, it's quite fitting really. So yeah, let's just start assembling this into a case, and we'll get this complete. That beautiful HDMI port lining, perfectly aligned. It looks factory. It looks absolutely fantastic. Beautiful. Right, okay. Now, like I said, the console's not clean. The case isn't clean. It's not a problem. The case has been sat for around about 6 months in this workshop, because to tell you the truth, even before the APU short, basically what had happened was I took a few chips off the board, and when I went to replace them, it was sat in the shed it was sat in the workshop anyway. So I took a few chips off to fix another console, and when I went to replace them, I accidentally picked up the wrong MOSFET, and it shorted the APU. which, I mean, obviously there's nothing I can do about it now. But it annoyed me a little bit. But to say that I've managed to get the console back up and running for £20 is absolutely great. Yes, it's not the original board. Yes, it's technically not the same console, but I still have my blue case. And this is going out of the workshop now. It's never coming back in here unless it needs repairs. So I'm just giving this a little brush down just because it's been sat here a while. So just a bit of isopropyl alcohol and some tissue, or TP, whatever you want to call it. So basically I'm just giving it a little bit of a wipe down just because it's been sat for a while. I will clean it properly when I get around to it. But now this is going to go back in the house and it's going to sit there till the end of time. There we go, beautiful. That, ladies and gents, is one beautiful looking console, wouldn't you say? And when you pair it with my custom blue controller, ignore the red on the back, that's not there, just forget the red on the back. But when you pair it with that controller, that is one good looking console. So basically what the intention is now is I'm waiting for some buttons and some analogues and things to come, and some of them have already come, and there's a cat or something running around. It's quite dark outside now. Sounded like it was underneath the workshop. So if you don't know, my workshop is actually my garden shed, turned into a workshop since we all went onto lockdown, and I just carried on from there, and it's been rather successful. So I've just kept everything in here. Yeah, so the plan for this is basically these buttons. So I'm getting rid of these buttons, I'm getting rid of these analogues, I'm getting rid of these tops, and they're all going to this colour. So it's basically going to be chrome blue for everything apart from the front case. And the back case is, I'm not sure what colour back case I'm going to put on there. I've got a black one coming, but I'm not sure which colour case I'm going to put on the back. But right now it's just got a temporary case on it just because I use it as a test controller in the workshop. But it's going to have all this colour buttons, and then it's going to basically, yeah, it's going to look like that. But I'm not sure whether I should just change the top to chrome and keep these this colour, because, you know, I've got my old case back now. So obviously, I mean, until today I didn't know that I was going to get this case back. But well, I didn't know I had it, but I didn't know for sure that I was ever going to put a console back in it. But I might keep in this colour just because it matches, and it looks pretty nice. But I have got some blue analogues coming. I've got some blue top coming. I've got to change the back, obviously. But yeah, yeah. Let's just summarise the video, shall we? So let's turn this back on. So I'm going to pop the HDMI switcher back out. Pop it into my beautiful looking console for the final time in the workshop until it breaks. To be honest, until I took this apart and messed, it never broke. It never broke. In 2 years, this console never broke. Well, a year and a half. Alright, so I haven't got any batteries for my controller because I use a USB. So let's turn the console on, and it's even got the blue LED. I'm obviously going to change this LED here to match the controller. I've actually got a board with a red LED already on it, so technically I could put a red LED on there and then put a red LED on here. I did have a red LED on this, and it did look really, really nice at one point. Yeah. Right, I think this is one of them consoles that doesn't load the green screen, to be honest. So some consoles don't load the green screen, and it can be quite scary because it looks like it's not loading, but then eventually it will come up. It could have a faulty hard drive, it could be a bad hard drive. If it is, I'll change it, not a problem. but that's detected the HDMI because the monitor hasn't gone off. There we go. So yeah, this is one of them consoles that doesn't load the green screen. I don't know why some consoles do that, but some consoles do. It's a little bit weird, but you know, it is what it is. So let's just summarise and we can end the video. It's been going on for around about 3 hours now, all in all. Obviously you're going to get the shorter version, but essentially I paid £20 for a faulty motherboard and the matching disk drive for an Xbox One S. The problem was that the person who owned it replaced the HDMI encoder by the look of it. Tried to replace the HDMI port. Looks like they've cut the port and completely made a mess of it, and decided for whatever reason, rather than to fix it, they've decided to sell it. So I purchased it for £20 off of Facebook. Replaced the traces that was on there. I can't remember how many now. Was like 7, 6, 7. Replaced the HDMI traces that was missing. And overall this console is working sweet. So it's cost me £20 for a board. It's cost me, say, £20 for a hard drive, for a 500 gig hard drive. It cost me a tenner for a power supply, so that's 50 quid. What else? Power supply, disk drive, motherboard, hard drive. The case I already owned, but let's say £20 for the case, so £70. All in all, about £90 and a little bit of time to get a beautiful looking console. I am very happy with how this has turned out. As you can see, we're still in 1080p. It's working absolutely perfectly. We're connected to the internet. If we go to the settings and go to storage, it's showing up as a 500 gig. I've got all of my games on an SSD, which I actually updated yesterday on the all digital edition. So I've got my Call of Duty Modern Warfare and things all updated, ready to go. So this console can live again, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. Right, so that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to hit the thumbs up button. And if you want to see more trying to fix videos, or if you want to see more content like this, do let me know, and do hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications so you're notified every time that I upload. As I said, I am going to be doing an unboxing very soon of my new soldering iron and my new heat gun. So if you want to see that, again, like I said, be sure to hit the subscribe button and look out for that content. It's going to be, the heat gun is going to be here in about 2 days, and the soldering iron, I'm not too sure. Hopefully they'll come pretty soon. But if you want to see that, like I said, be sure to check out the channel, and they'll be on there as soon as I get them. So thanks very much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Until next time, see you all later. Bye for now.